Hi guys, this is CA Harish Krishna and I'm back with another video, and today's video is going to be really interesting for all you guys out there who is from CA Inter, IPCC or even probably final students, because today I'm going to share one of the May 2019 students paper who has scored 86 marks in audit, and since he happens to be my student, he is happy to share his answer script with us, and today that gives us an opportunity to analyze and understand how we can score such high marks. So I'm going to take you through his mark sheet, and then obviously I'm going to take you through the answer script completely. I will alongside be also reading the questions, and we will see what are the answers that he has written and what are the suggested answers. So we will compare and try and understand how precise he has been on the answers which led him to score 86 marks. Let's move on to the paper right now. Okay, so here I am with his paper, and first let me show you his mark sheet, which is amazing. And thanks Ganesh for letting me do this and sharing your mark sheet with us, and also letting me do this with your paper so that I can show people how easy it is to score marks and how real it is to score 80 plus in audit. And he's got excellent marks in all subjects, actually 77, 66, 60 and 81 in taxation, with another 66 in advanced accounting, with 86 in audit being the highest, and he scored an excellent 573. So you can now look at what is obtained here. 57 out of 70, which means that the balance 29 marks of the 86 have come from the MCQs, so wherein he's just lost only one MCQ, which also shows his prowess towards the subject. He is absolutely proficient with the subject, and only because he is so confident and talented in terms of understanding the subject, I believe he could be able to achieve this feat. So once again, though it's almost a May 19 paper, that I would like to congratulate him for this kind of an effort, and also thank him once again for letting me do this so that I can share it with you guys on how best things can go around in the exam. First and foremost thing, I want you to observe two very important things, because I'm not obviously going to waste all your time doing the entire paper. So I'll do a section of true or false, and then I will also do a section from descriptive questions, a couple of them, to show you how really the presentation actually works. And a lot of people have asked me in the past, "Sir, should we write some technical language, or should we go about writing exactly what is given in the books and all that?" All your problems will be solved now. You can neatly see. I'll take you through that. And the best thing about what I have observed in his paper is, again, he has not only scored 29 out of 30 in the MCQs, but he has also made effort to score 14 out of 14 in true or false, which I believe is one of the most convincing things. Because if you want to score high, I have always told this in the past, well, 30 marks in MCQs with another 14 marks in true or false is roughly around 44 marks, and he has got 43 out of that. There only he has passed the exam. Now every answer that he writes after that is bonus, and look at that, his total is taken to 86. And I've heard that people have scored 90s and all in audit, but knowing Ganesh to be my student, and I have that great pride in sharing his paper, and I'm very very proud that I taught him audit, and it's pretty much great to bring you this today so that you can believe the reality, rather than simply listening to people saying that you can score and you should write in this language. And I have myself told so many times that you can present it in the basic English language, but people always had their apprehensions. Today I got a chance to show you guys as to what can happen. So let us start with this true or false here. In the first place, I can bring you this true or false, which be the first question, and let me show you the presentational aspect. So also when that happens here, let me move off screen so that you can completely look at the question paper carefully, and we will now talk about how do you go about this. So look at the very first question that you see there is the question was, can the auditor sign only in the name of the firm? Let me also read that question. I have the question here, so let me also read the question for you, which says, where a firm is appointed as an auditor of the entity, the audit report is signed in the name of the audit firm only. So no, the answer is incorrect, and which is what he mentioned incorrect. And he says the right section number has been identified. You can see here section 141, he has written there. According to section 141, where a firm is appointed as an auditor of the entity, The audit report shall be signed by both a partner and in his own name of the firm, and what? And in the own name of the firms, which is exactly what we are looking at and what we want also, that we have to identify the section here, that is important. And not only apart from identifying the section, it is also important to convey the fact that yeah, it is both those in the individual name and also in the firm name that they have to sign this. So it is, such a crisp and clear presentation. Let us look at one more point so that you can build up your confidence on what this is. Yeah, this is a very tricky and a simple question. He says the question goes like this. Question. Let me read that question for you. Internal controls, wherever the internal controls are, internal control, satisfactory internal control environment is not an absolute deterrent to fraud, which is definitely the fact. Because you know why that is a fact? Because satisfactory internal controls, whenever we're talking about them, they may assure the, what do you say, the control is operating effectively, but the fact that frauds will be prevented cannot be told comfortably. So look at the way how he has presented that. He said yes, it is not a deterrent. And why is it not a deterrent? Is simply for the reason that there are so many inherent limitations. And you can see the green ticks on your screen right now, which is all digital marking in the exam. So the point has been clearly awarded. You can look at the second green tick which says also due to inherent limitations of internal control, and when he used the word inherent limitations of internal control, they gave him the marks. First point, he emphasized the fact that in the first two lines, satisfactory control environment is an essential component of the internal control, and he believes that yeah, they are very much important for the audit. But just that internal controls are present will not prevent everything from fraud, which is why he said that inherent limitations will, there is always such a risk that material misstatement due to fraud may not be detected. Now tell me which textbook has this answer, or which textbook has this kind of a language. So it is absolutely in his language that he has written this, and he has made it once again very clear to all the people out there who are watching this that you can write answers in decent basic English. You don't have to again and again by heart what is the content in the books and try and go only by that. Please make sure that you write the answer. And see, he has given the reason and he has made his conclusion, which is amazing. I think I can show you one more thing, because the third one is also in the same lot, where you can see a little bit here right now. Let me be on screen and explain you this one. This question goes into a scenario where subsequent auditor in case of a government company, subsequent auditor in case of a government company, and the question says he can hold office up till the conclusion of next year. He is appointed within 180 days of the financial year and holds office up till the conclusion of next year is what they said, which is why the answer he has written is incorrect, because the actual answer goes by saying that he holds office up till the conclusion of next AGM. And look at where they have put the green tick, till the end of the next annual general meeting. So he has mentioned the section number correctly, opening part of the line, and it says the commencement part is correct. And he also says the answer is wrong because he has to hold office up till the conclusion of next AGM and not the conclusion of some financial year. I think that sums up the way he has presented the answers. Now, let me take you through. So, this is good enough to make you understand how true or false are answered. Now, let me take you to one descriptive question where we can try and understand how he has answered descriptive questions as well. So, you can go off with this question. In this question, for question number 5, the question number 5, they've asked you to write the procedure for removal of auditors before the expiry of the term. Procedure for removal of auditors before the expiry of the term. Look at the opening of the answer. According to section 140 subsection 1, so he has got the section number identified very correctly, and then according to that he says of the Companies Act 2013, the auditors of the company can be removed only before the expiry only in two conditions. One, there should be a special resolution, and two, a prior approval of central government. Look at that. On the front paragraph of the answer, he has conveyed this to the examiner. Now the one who is reading this answer, no, he is very clear. Acha, this guy knows the section number. This guy knows that there are two things, that you need a special resolution and you need a prior approval. But that's good enough to impress the examiner in the first place. Then look at the way he projects the answer further. So let me take you through that as well very clearly by moving off screen and say the correct procedure. Now look at the 3 points that he has mentioned absolutely and very beautifully. One, board resolution has to be passed. Within 30 days of passing of the board resolution, you got to fill ADT2 and send it to the government. Government will give you an approval, and once the government gives the approval for the passing it, then special resolution has to be passed within 60 days by convening a general meeting. Look at that stepwise marking, absolute perfection, very neatly explained. And board resolution, one tick. Form ADT2, second tick. Within 60 days, the third tick. And look at the conclusion. Only after all the above requirements are satisfied, an auditor may be removed before the expiry of his term. And however, he's also mentioned the fact that he has to give a reasonable opportunity of being heard. Now, I believe that this is the best that anybody can write in an exam and score 4 out of 4 absolutely. There is no way how he could have lost a mark, because every word that has been mentioned in the section's text from the Companies Act, he has brought in everything. You can look at the sentence framing. This is pretty much on his own. There hasn't been any clear way of presenting the answer. There is pretty much visible. There hasn't been any fancy use of terms or exactly trying to put up what is there in the section or any notebook. None of that is there. He's taken the answer very cool, and he is gone with it. I think I should do one more descriptive question and then sum this up. I don't want to keep this session too long also. I just want you guys to understand that there is a real possibility of scoring such high marks, and that is one of the reasons why I'm doing this paper in such clear detail. Let's now take one more answer and then we'll see how he has answered this. Okay, the B bit of that answer itself is asking you to write the procedure of uh, this one, attending the general meeting, and the question goes by like, should the auditor attend only those general meetings which is concerned to accounts or audit, or should he attend every general meeting? And since it's again a question from Companies Act, his opening is absolutely perfect. He's gone with the text of section 146. You can see there, according to section 146 of the Companies Act, so which again impresses the examiner, saying that look, I know what I'm writing, and I'm writing the correct section number is very important. That impresses them a great deal. And then going further, we're talking about auditor is also required to attend every general meeting. He has underlined the word every general meeting very clearly, unless specifically exempted by the company, which is also a fact from the section that he has mentioned. So there itself he has won all his marks, the 3 ticks you can see there. And then going by step 1, they have said that auditor also has a right to be heard at the general meeting, which is absolutely true, and his conclusion being the best. Therefore, the auditors have a right to attend not only those general meetings where the accounts and audit are audited, but also any other general meeting of the company. Now, I want you guys to be very critically observing this paragraph of conclusion, which he said, therefore, none of these words will match any of your books. Because if you go and read the text given in the book, it is not given like this 100%. But he has conveyed the essence of the point so beautifully that it conveys the same meaning. So now tell me guys, answer to the first question, can we write or frame sentences in our own language? Absolutely you can do that. Can we write the answer in the order that we know, which is again true? Keep the spirit of the answer alive, don't kill the section. Okay, sir, you have showed us only section based answers. Can you show us any general answer? Yes, I can. Let us take the next one, where he is also answered. Okay, this is also again according to a section. So let us go and see. Yeah, absolutely. This is a very simple question. Again, he has scored beautifully with respect to Caro 2016, wherein they've asked him to report on fixed assets. And there whether, so he has written only the 3 questions clearly. See whether the company has maintained proper records along with its location, whether they have been physically verified at reasonable intervals, whether all the fixed assets belong to the company, and the title deeds. Now again, if you see, he hasn't used the words exactly what are there in Caro. The third point is an example. Whether all the fixed assets belong to the company is not used in the Caro's text. If you see original Caro's text, it says whether the title deeds are there and they are in the name of the company. So whether all fixed assets belong is never there. But he has pretty much conveyed the essence of the answer, which has made him score all the marks. So I can take you through the entire paper like this, But what I want you guys to know again, yeah, let me take up this one. I think the last one we will do it here, for that you can understand how important is independence and what independence is required. So he has mentioned the name of the code of ethics, which is very important because independence is an ethical principle. And then he says two things: independence in mind and independence in appearance, which I believe you know. So that he scored one mark for each of them. And then he's also, the two are interlinked and pretty much. um so that is where he says the two are interlinked, which enable the auditor to be objective, exercise integrity and professional skepticism. Hence, the auditor should both be and appear to be independent. So I think I have examined his paper deeply and very clearly, guys. So which has only told me that he has had a thorough preparation of what exactly it is, and he has made it comfortable for his own self. And again, I don't want you guys to get carried away with things. So the very reason of making this video is to make you aware that writing answers in basic sense is very very important, and keep the spirit of the section alive, keep the spirit of the answer alive, and do not let go of the major spirit of the answer. So yeah, that's exactly why I wanted you to bring this. Though it's a May 19 paper, I wanted to do this video so that you guys will have an understanding of that. And if you want, I will surely try and do more papers of this sort. And if you guys have really understood what I was trying to tell in this video, do let this video reach other people. Again, I'm not really crazy about telling it really to share and subscribe. So but as long as you guys have benefited, I believe that my job is done. So all you guys who've had an opportunity to understand how things work in the exam, make sure that. And complete set of paper also we could have done, but that's going to take a long time, and it's not fruitful as well. I wanted to convey the point, so which is why I did this video. You've seen how true or false are answered, you've seen how section based answers are answered, you've seen how regular answers are to be answered. So I hope you also answer in the same way and get great marks. And also make sure that your strength should be MCQs, wherein you can score high marks. Do not sit and by heart, or do not sit and solve pages and pages of MCQs. That's not going to help. Focus on the content, and I believe you can always get great marks. So that's it from my side on this video. I will see you soon with another video on this channel. Thank you.